In this video, I'm going to show you how you can extend your original translation app to create a second project which is much more interactive and much more user-friendly. In this second app, the squirrel will ask you to click on a flag, and you will see up here in the top left-hand corner a variable is set for the language. Then when you click on the squirrel, it will translate in that language.
What do you want to translate? Ciao. What do you want to translate? Hallo. What do you want to translate? Hallo.
So you see, we can change the language just by clicking on the flags, which makes it a much more useful app. First, you need to go into your original translation app and click File and Save as a Copy, and call your new program Translation Squirrel 2. This means that you'll get to keep your original project and then have this as a separate project if anything goes wrong. Now you can see that I've added 6 flag sprites, which you can see in the costumes I've just added using squares and rectangles, and the instructions for this are in a previous video and in the previous assignment. The first thing we need to do is, if we look at the code on the squirrel, at the moment we're setting the language, so here it's translating to Welsh, we're setting the language to be a specific language each time. The first thing we need to do to make this to work for all the flags is instead to create a variable. So we click on the orange variable blocks and click make a variable and call that language. Now you'll see we have a variable called language, and we're going to set that to a different language like Welsh, or in this case Japanese, German, Dutch, Icelandic, when we click on the flags. So the first thing I need to do is get that language variable, and where it's translating to the foreign language at the moment, get that to translate to the language variable. And then I need to click on a flag and add just a little bit of code to set that when you click on the flag. So the first thing I'm going to do is say, when this sprite is clicked, set the language, and in this case I'm on the Icelandic flag, set language to Icelandic. Now this needs to be exactly the same as what it is here in the set language, so if you need to check, do that. So I'm going to set the language, and then I'm going to send a broadcast called selected, so that I can pick this broadcast up in this code and know that the flag has been clicked, the language has been changed, and then I can deal with it over here. So for the flags, I need to do this for all of them. So I can just pick these blocks up and copy them onto the other sprites, and just make sure I change the language to the right one. And now you'll see that if I click on the flags up here, it's changing the language depending depending on the flag that I click on. I can change the look of this to the large readout, which I prefer. And now I've got quite a bit of the functionality in there, and I just need to add and change the code in the squirrel, in the translation part, to make sure that this works. And now if I run the app and click on the flags, you'll be able to see that I can change the translation in the app, which is much more user friendly and much more interactive.
What do you want to translate? Plus. What do you want to translate? Farewell. What do you want to translate? Adiós.
So you can see the interactive element of the app is working, but I just want to improve it a little bit more to make it more user friendly. And to do that, I'm going to use this broadcast that we created for all the flags and pick that up in the code for the squirrel and just use it so that it is a little bit more interactive. So what I'm going to do first of all is use the when I receive selected, which is the broadcast that's coming from the flags. When I receive selected, I want the squirrel to say, thank you, you have selected, and the language. So to do that, I need a speak block. So I'm going to say for 2 seconds, and I want it to say, thank you, you have selected, and then the language. So to do that, I'm going to need a join block. So if I put a join block in there, I can put in the first bit of the join block, I can say, thank you, you have selected, and then a space, and then put the language in the second part of the join block. And then I can say it again, click on me to translate. So I'll copy that. And now if I run the app, you'll see that it's just a little change, but it adds a little bit of quality to the app.
What do you want to translate? Hazlo. What do you want to translate? Konnichiwa.
And that's an example of how you can just add a broadcast and a little bit of code to use that broadcast to start to give the user more feedback. Now there may be other ways that you can think of improving this app so far. For example, you could change the background to match whichever country is selected, or you could give more feedback in terms of messages. But I'll leave that up to you, and I look forward to seeing what you make. Good luck, everybody.